Before we get into today's episode, I want to tell you about something I think every business leader, recruitment marketeer, and recruiter should be reading. In a world where everyone's competing for attention, the brands that win aren't the loudest. They're the ones that own the conversation in their market. That's the idea behind my free ebook, Own the Conversation. It explores how to build authority, earn trust, and become the name people think of first when they're thinking of buying your services. You can download your free copy today at thinkincircles.com.
What great ideas are so close within your grasp? Seeing other points of view, anticipating change, considering multiple possible turnouts, acknowledging uncertainty, searching for compromise. We're going to talk about how to get over those limiters of innovation so that you can extract better thinking from yourself and your team. So let's talk about how to win the future.
LinkedIn is noisier than ever. AI can create a month of content in a matter of minutes, and almost every leader is now being told they need to build a personal brand. But does more content actually create more authority? And are businesses focusing on the right measures? In this episode, I speak to Rhona Pierce, founder and creative director of Workfluencer Media, about authority, employee-generated content, founder brands, and why conversations and conversions matter far more than impressions. Welcome back, everybody, to the Marketing Rules podcast, and it is my pleasure to welcome the superstar that is Rhona Pierce. Rhona, it's a pleasure to have you on. You seem to be everywhere, right? Everywhere when I look on LinkedIn, you're kind of putting out great content. I know you've kind of got your own kind of channels, your own kind of podcast, all that kind of cool stuff. But I'm not going to steal your limelight. Maybe you can tell me and tell everyone kind of listening in and tuning in a little bit about yourself and a little bit about your background as well.
Yeah, so thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Like you said, I'm Rhona Pierce. I'm a former recruiter. I spent over 15 years in the tech industry. Actually started as a software engineer and then moved into recruiting. And I've always worked on the talent attraction side of things and employer branding, all the fun stuff. And now I am the founder and creative director at Workfluencer Media. And what we do is we help brands and founders tell their stories. I do it in two main ways. Through Workfluencer Media, right? We do EGC campaigns, so employee-generated content campaigns, and fractional brand storytelling, working with marketing teams, recruiting teams. And then I also host the Workfluencer podcast, where I feature professionals who create content to gain visibility and monetize their expertise, but professionals with actual expertise. And I'm also a workfluencer myself, and I partner with brands to talk about cool products.
Yeah. So you're a software engineer, did you say, when you kind of...
Yes.
Do you still do any of that? Do you keep your hand in, or are you kind of, do you sit there, I don't know, vibe coding at night or anything like that now these days? Or how do you still have a kind of a touch point with that?
That is so funny that you asked, because last night I was frustrated with my CRM and I wanted a specific report. And I'm like, you know what? I'm building it myself. So I opened my favorite vibe coding tool and I vibe coded a full blow. By the time I was finished, which was late, very late last night, I'm like, I just coded a whole new thing. And yeah, of course, it's not coding like back in the day where I was opening the code. But we got into real weeds of technical stuff because now it's my company info. I'm wanting to make sure it's safe and all of this stuff. So it was cool to go back in and just, it's like riding a bike. I had not forgotten anything.
Well, these days, obviously we're both in the TA space and the staffing space. The ability to then kind of do that, what you just described then, is almost like an invaluable skill these days, right? To have that background in software engineering. So it's like being a painter. You need to know the rules before you can then break them, right?
Yeah.
So you've been the software now, because obviously kind of vibe coding shortens that kind of whole process. But you know what the rules are in the first place. So you're probably a pretty proficient kind of vibe coder when it comes to, because no one's actually going to sit there and kind of type in code or anything like that anymore. So And that's cool that you kind of still keep your hand in, right? It's yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I don't do it daily, but yeah, it's whenever one of the tools that I'm using doesn't have what I need, I can now build it. And even before vibe coding, I would do it, but that would take so long. So I'm excited and happy that now we can just a few hours of prompting back and forth and me fighting a little with the tool and I have a something ready to show to my team today. It's like this is our new tool that we're using.
We're going to touch a little bit on kind of AI in kind of a little bit kind of later on, but obviously a lot of people will know you from kind of online just by just being a real presence on LinkedIn, right? And talking about all this kind of everything you've just kind of mentioned. And that's really what we're going to kind of dig in a little bit into today, and get some of your kind of get your opinions on how LinkedIn works, how social's working, kind of personal brand, authenticity, all that kind of cool stuff, right? Because that has some crossover with some of the stuff that we do on a daily basis, and some of the stuff that I know our audience are kind of interested in at the moment. Um, the first question, I guess, is I know it's not particularly controversial, but it might be, right? Right? Has LinkedIn, is LinkedIn now just way too noisy for it to be particularly effective for the general kind of user out there on a day-to-day basis? Is there any way of kind of making a mark? Is it just too much going on?
I think that there are more people that are active on LinkedIn, and this is for many reasons. The job market is trash everywhere in the world. That's the main thing. Also, LinkedIn is doing a really, really like intentional effort of bringing people from other platforms to their platform. So you're seeing more of they're targeting, from what I can tell, the Gen Zers and the younger crowd and bringing them over. And you know that with that comes advertising dollars, which is what they want. So, yes, there's more people creating content on LinkedIn. Now, does it mean that it's too crowded, it's too noisy, and the people that built that house,
Hmm.
us, the ones that have been there on LinkedIn for forever, are now not relevant? Absolutely not. I think that a lot of the people that are using LinkedIn are not relying on AI, which obviously I love AI, use it every day, but they're relying on AI and they've outsourced their voice to AI. As long as you don't do that, you will stand out.
Right. Um, and so I suppose on kind of following on from that, are there just too many creators then? Because we I talk about some of the similar things to yourself, that, and we will get into authenticity, that you know AI slop is just kind of filling the kind of your timeline, right? And you can spot it. The thing, it does feel like LinkedIn almost doesn't care too much, right? Because it's still popping up in my timeline, whether it's getting all the kind of the right engagement you want, whether it's getting the kind of the people looking at your profile, whether it's getting people to follow those calls to action or whatever. It does seem to be a lot of it on there, and filtering through it is becoming harder and harder, even though you can spot it a mile off, right? So,
Yeah.
with the ability of everyone really to be a creator, if everyone is listening, I'm doing air quotes. You know, is that a good or a bad thing now? That is it democracy, or is it not really what it should be? You know what I mean? And maybe it's just too easy to just kind of put all that kind of content out there now.
No, I think it's a good thing. I'm excited. I think we've always needed more voices on LinkedIn and just online in general. And we've needed more expert voices. Like, I specifically talk to people who are 40 years plus, and okay, let's say 30 plus, but people who are mid in their career, people who have actual experience and have formed the expertise. No shade to anyone younger. I was young. I like none of that. And like half of my team is Gen Z. I love young people. So it's not that, but it's more of like online in this context as we're talking. We need more people sharing their expertise. And it's like, why would we sit back and let people who haven't put in the reps, who don't have the expertise, be the ones to benefit from the creator economy. Look, it's here to stay. It's just a new way of doing things. I think there's room for absolutely everyone. But I think there's something important. A lot of people, and maybe this is why it hasn't been such a big issue for me. I never ever optimized for impressions. I never cared about impressions. I always cared about conversion, and I cared about the conversations and the engagement on my post. So when you create content with that mindset, you don't care if there are a million people, because as long as you talk to the 5 to 10 people that you need to talk to monetize your expertise, you're cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's a quality over quantity kind of scenario, right? I think
Yep.
that's what you need to kind of like, and that feeds back into the staying away from AI slop kind of methodology. Um, so in that sense, right? Going back to kind of LinkedIn specifically, where do you stand on the stuff that we tend to see working really well on LinkedIn at the minute, and you know, isn't the same as what was working maybe kind of 4 or 5 years ago, right? It was very much a kind of workplace kind of expertise, kind of getting out there. And we all have that experience now of putting something up that isn't kind of work related. It's something from our kind of personal lives onto LinkedIn, and it exploding, right? And it going crazy. And you get this kind of I know it's not Facebook kind of posts, right? You get that kind of stuff. What's your feeling about that? Do you feel that if you're trying to kind of craft this personal brand as an expert, you need to have a balance, or do you just stay in your lane? Where or is it LinkedIn's fault, right, for trying to be Facebook, right? Where does this where does that sit?
I find the whole argument of LinkedIn trying to become Facebook really comical, because it's LinkedIn. What's happening on LinkedIn is a reflection of what has changed in the world of work. The last time I had a full-time job was 3 years ago in 2023. And if you look at my job in 2023 versus my job in 2003 when I started my career, the way people are at work is totally different. Because work before, you used to go, just do your stuff. No one knew anything about you. It was just like bam, 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 professional, professional. Well, now things have changed because so many things, just different generations in the workplace and different cultures that they bring, like work cultures, and also like remote work, globalization of work, and like barriers. So the world has changed, and work isn't just work. At work, you're talking to your coworkers about your life, and it's just so commingled that, of course, that has bled into how we show up and what works on a professional platform. On LinkedIn, no one, like, if you're just professional, 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 then you're not going to feel relatable. It's just like if you had a coworker, just imagine a coworker who all they talk about is work and you know absolutely nothing about them. Like, you don't even know what color they like because they wear the exact same thing every single day, type of thing, right? So yeah, there has to be a balance in the content, of course, because you're, at the end of the day, you're trying to showcase your expertise, whether it's for jobs, speaking opportunities, monetizing brand deals, whatever it's for. You want to showcase your expertise, but you also want to show that you're human.
Yeah. Um, and is that being slightly led though by LinkedIn itself and the algorithm? Because as I mentioned, we've all definitely kind of had those posts, and we've seen those posts that absolutely blow up compared to the stuff when you think you're doing the right thing and being kind of expert, showing your expertise, and that you've put I don't know, this is you out for a drink at a bar or something like that, or this is a picture of your dog or something like that, and that seems to be one that kind of blows up. Is that simply because you're kind of the audience that we have all kind of created around us now are just more used to that and kind of like seeing that kind of stuff? Or is that LinkedIn going, we want people to see more of that stuff from you, so we're gonna throttle up that kind of content on your behalf, basically? What do you think? If you run a small recruitment agency, You don't have time to manually sift hundreds of CVs. Smart Sifty does it for you. It screens, shortlists, and ranks candidates instantly, fairly, and consistently, so you can focus on actually placing people, not drowning in admin. Less bias, less time wasted, more placements. If you're serious about running a smarter, more efficient agency, go to smartsifty.com and book a demo today.
I have I think, interesting theory, and I'm still testing it out. I think that when people post the personal stuff, they're just real about what they're saying. And when they post the work stuff, like you said, they're thinking on the rules and how to say this and stuff like that. People on LinkedIn, it doesn't matter what the algorithm is pushing. If 3 people see your post and they love it and they keep commenting and sharing it, the algorithm is forced to show it to other people.
Right.
But people want the real stuff. They don't want the stuffy post.
Yeah.
So I have posts that are I've had brand deals do way better than an organic post about me traveling somewhere. And those posts have done great. But a brand deal has done better without any boosting or anything, because I use it's my same approach. I speak the same way, whether I'm talking about something serious, whether I'm talking, I mean, I did a video after a conference sitting on a bed in a hotel room doing the awards, quote unquote, for the conference. And that was one that did well, because it's like, she's on LinkedIn sitting on her bed, like what's happening type thing. But a sponsored post about me talking about a HR tech tool did better than that, or like, and it was in the same week, or did kind of like the same as that, and it was in the same week, because the way I wrote the post is exactly the same. The way I show up on video is exactly the same.
Yeah. And that comes onto the kind of the questions that I'm sure you get asked, and I know we do occasionally, around the power of personal brand versus the company brand. I'm sure you have businesses come to you and just like, we want our brand to be seen by as many people as possible. And I'm sure then it's like, well, what personally are your business people doing within your, who are the advocates out there? So, in that scenario, can you do both? Should you do both? Should you concentrate on finding your kind of your kind of talented kind of LinkedIn super users within your business to kind of push your brand? Should you let them run free? I know there's a couple of different kind of questions in there, but it is really that kind of question around personal versus kind of company brand, and where the power should be and where it shouldn't be, maybe.
I think there's value. It's all case by case. People
Yeah.
come to me and they're like, okay, so you do the founder brand. And when I talk to them, maybe I'm like, you know what? I think for your specific case, it would be more powerful for us to work on your company brand and not on your founder profile. And here is why. I actually had that conversation with one of my clients. And it's like, you're welcome to repost and repurpose what we're doing for your brand on your personal account. But I think the best bang for your buck is us doing your company brand. And here's why: because that specific company is all about building community. So I don't want them to spend money on me, and I could just the founder's brand. I want the brand to be recognized as a community brand. So we're sharing stories of clients, of employees, of partners, and it's all about community and stuff like that. And there it made sense. Now, if they would have come to me and it would have been a totally different company, I would have probably recommended something else, right? Maybe a new company with a founder who already has a strong presence. Why start from scratch over here and start over there? So it's case by case, but there is value in both, as long as you humanize it. That's really the important thing. It's not should it be my company page versus should it be my founder and executive page. It's where are the humans behind this? That's what people are looking for.
Right. And talking about the kind of the humans behind it, right? Let's get onto AI, right? Because I know you said you're a huge fan of this, and we've already kind of we've touched on some of the things that possible issues there. But is that one of the things that you think it could potentially be making authenticity way more valuable now, right? Over kind of like, because there is that so much. Obviously, but I think a lot of the time you do speak about authenticity, and it feels like that, and that feels like the key. Bottling what authenticity actually is, I think, is a little harder, but that's the thing maybe we're all trying to kind of get. And is that the thing that is most valuable for any business out there at the moment?
Yes, because of how easy and accessible it is now to create a post. And look, I saw an interesting perspective the other day where people were saying, "Oh, anyone who's shaming someone who uses AI for their content is being classist because everyone didn't have access to the education that gets you to speak in a polished way to be in these rooms." Yes and no. I can see the side of that, but I also see the side because I've experienced it. I met someone who I knew online, very polished post, very amazing. And by the way, I'm a foreigner. English is my second language. My first language is Spanish. So this is it's not that type of anything. But I met the person and the way they spoke, and I'm not talking about the accent or anything. The way they spoke was so different from how they wrote on LinkedIn that it was such a jarring. I was like there. I was like, wait, are you the same person type
Mhm.
thing? And that's where I'm like, if you're going to use AI for your content, you have to tell AI to speak at the level that you speak. If you speak at a eighth grader level, you can't have AI writing at a professional PhD level for you. So, like, that's and the easiest way to always be yourself when people meet you is to not outsource your voice to AI. Use AI for everything. And you can even use it to help you write. I use it as my thought partner. Sometimes I need to brainstorm, sometimes I need it to correct something, but at the end of the day, what gets posted is me. So, yes, not like keeping the human in the loop is how you will stand out because everyone can go in 5 seconds create you see the things create 30 days of post in 1 hour. Of
Yeah.
course, AI can do it. But is that you? Is that gonna stand out? Is that gonna look different from anyone? Again, are you optimizing for impressions and like attention or for actual showcasing of your expertise and building authority?
And when it comes to kind of that authority building, yeah, traditionally you would say this needs to be probably driven a bit from the top, right? This needs to be kind of top down. So does that mean that kind of, I don't know, I'm going to say every leader, but it's not really every leader, but does everyone have to have a public profile? Do they all have to be influencers, or is it enough to just be doing it, right? To influence the rest of the business to get on board? What should be the kind of the aim of a leader who wants to kind of to move into space and just be more authentic online?
So a leader should definitely lead by example and showcase this. And for many reasons because it's going to I mean there's so many leaders who don't want their teams to be online. They want to be the star of everything and they want to control everything. So if you as a leader are being your authentic self and just sharing, then people in your company are going to be like, "Oh, okay, this is something that's okay to do. This is something that's cool to do." Which by the way is going to benefit you way more to have your employees and the rest of the leaders in your company online than just the founder. Because everyone already knows the founder probably has a ghostwriter. It's probably not them. Like the same um, propensity to ignore a company page that people have happens with a founder page. So
Interesting.
you are best served having multiple voices in your company. Sometimes I've seen it with clients that what drives people to the founders page is actually employees, individual contributors speaking about the company. And then people are like, wait, let me go see what this is about. But they learn from it and they saw it first from someone who's not the founder. Then they go check out the founder, not the other way around.
Rona, there's been nuggets all the way through for the last kind of 20 minutes. So anybody listening, um, you know, uh, they should be going away with a lot more kind of understanding of how to build their kind of their personal brand and what they should be doing online. It's been amazing talking to you today. As with all of our guests, we'll include all your details in the show notes. So if anybody wants to kind of contact you or find you, they can there. If they're not already connected to you on LinkedIn, or if they're not already watching your stuff or listening to your stuff. But Rhona, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the Marketing Rules podcast today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for listening. And don't forget, you can subscribe to the Marketing Rules podcast on Apple, Spotify, and all other major podcasting platforms. I've been your host, James Whitelock, and I hope you can join me and more amazing guests next time. The Marketing Rules podcast is a Think in Circles production.